Welcome to another episode of the Spiritual Investor podcast. I'm very excited today because I have someone special to introduce you guys to. His name is Kurtis, and I met him in Nashville. I think it was in February or something like that, February of this year. So, I don't know, six or 7 months ago. Kurtis Lee Thomas, actually, and he is the founder of Breathwork Detox, and he is a breathwork trainer. And he talks specifically a lot about money, although he also talks about some really cool other edgy kind of spiritual things. And I know that you guys are going to love him. So, Kurtis, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, you're welcome. Okay, so I always just jump in. So let's, if you don't mind, we're gonna hold hands and jump off the cliff together because I think that's what the listeners like as well.
Geronimo.
Okay, so breath work. I we just completed a 7-day challenge in the Spiritual Investor Club, and so I'm saying that because this is like forefront of my mind. I just finished reading 326 comments from people in there, and so I kind of I'm feel like I'm in the energy a bit of kind of what people might be going through, and I know, especially when it comes to money, that people get themselves into this stuck place. They're like, well, wait, the energy of money, and, I get that, and I'm starting to get these concepts, but then they feel like they're not making money in their business, or they feel like they've got something going on with money. Everybody seems like a money issue, we'll say, right? And it really doesn't matter what it is. Um, and then what we do is we talk about these practices that we do. And I think people are just more connected to themselves now. We're living in an expanded time of expanded consciousness, and we are looking for these practices to sort of not pigeonhole ourselves into some like stuck routine, because we don't like that either. But this like the elevation factor that we can get from doing something on an ongoing basis. And I feel like you're a master in that. So, what would you say to someone who is kind of stuck in that juxtaposition between I'm getting these concepts, I feel better when I feel like I'm in flow with money, but when I look at my bank account, it's like, what the F?
Yeah, I think it's about getting in flow with themselves, right? They need to feel fluid. And there's a lot of things that like that we use that word stuck. So what I've noticed is that the mind always wants to tend to live in the future, right?
Mm,
But the body holds on to the past. The soul always
mm,
wants to be present.
mm,
So this is why they say the issues are in the tissues, right? And the body keeps score. So when we have things that we've been holding on to, it actually is wreaking havoc on our nervous system. And our nervous system is what allows us of how much success that we can handle. And with that comes money. How much money that we can handle is our nervous system regulated to be able to hold that frequency for that money. So what I realized that money is tied to our nervous system, which is tied to our thoughts and beliefs and all these things. And some of those aren't really good. And those were being stored in the body because we didn't have the emotional intelligence, consciousness, and awareness to process it. So now all these things are going on. What can you do about it? And the best thing that I've learned is to clear the body of everything that it's been holding on to. Now, that could just be accumulated stress. That could be suppressed trauma. It could be, all different types of things. And when you do that, you start to feel more buoyant, more lighter. Your nervous system's more regulated. You start to think clearer. You have a better gut-brain connection. So a lot of things happen when you implement one of these practices.
mm. And when you say practices, like what comes to the top of your mind?
Well, what I teach is breathwork detox, right? So, it's funny you talked about manifesting. You're like, I don't do the woo-woo manifesting type stuff.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna agree because I wrote a whole book on manifesting in 2014. So was that over a decade ago? And I learned the greatest thing about manifesting, I didn't even put in that book. I'm rewriting it. I'm gonna put it in there. And, everybody wants something. They want this, they want a new job, they want a new promotion, they want a better lover or whatever. We want all these things. And we want to manifest all these things. But what I realize is we actually need to let go before we can let in.
Mm-hmm.
Too many people are spiritually constipated.
Mm-hmm.
They got all this baggage and
Mm-hmm.
failures and fears they've been holding on to for God knows how long, that is quote unquote blocking their
Mm-hmm.
blessings and their manifestations. See, you don't need to learn how to manifest. Newsflash, you're already doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is, it's like you can't turn it off. Like it's like I take this pen, it's like gravity. It's always on. You can't unplug it. You can't turn it off. You're always manifesting. So what's causing you not able to manifest what you want is because you're holding on to things that you haven't let go of. And it's those things that are no longer in our highest and greatest good. And that particular modality, breathwork detox, is the number one modality for allowing the body to let go and process these things to create a new energetic configuration.
And how does that really work? Like, how does breath work help us release these things?
So the breath is connected. Okay, so let me give you an example of, so blood. Let's talk about blood in the body, right? We know that there's blood in the body. And if I was to ask you, well, how does that blood get distributed throughout the body? You'd say veins and arteries, right? Because anatomically, we can cut open the body and we can see all the veins and the arteries and where it flows. Okay, with that in mind, I think we can agree that energy is a real thing, right? And even science admits that humans are made up of more energy than they are matter, and people who aren't even spiritual, they can feel energy. They can go in a room and be like, I don't like the vibes. I don't like that person or whatever, or this feels like really, really good. They're feeling the energy. So it doesn't matter what you call it. We believe in energy, and the body has energy in it that sustains itself. But how does energy get distributed throughout the body? And most people don't know that. And the energy gets distributed throughout the body through an intricate pathway system called nadis. And in Vedic, they understand this. Vedic medicine is 72,000 nadis, and they run throughout the body. And it's responsible for where emotions get stuck, right? So energy, well, let's say emotions is energy in motion. And when that emotion, that energy isn't in motion, it gets stuck. Well, this is why people feel like they're stuck in life. It's a belief system, it's a thought pattern, or an emotion that's stuck in their physical body, in their nadi systems.
Mm.
So the breath is the only thing that's connected to all 72,000 energetic highways, all those pathways in the
Mm.
body. So when you do this very specific breathing technique for a very specific amount of time, you clear out all those energetic pathways. And that's what allows you to let go of the things you've been holding on to.
Mm. So it's kind of like the breath is clearing the energies, and then that is it this feeling of relief? I mean, what is it really? It's like, because I can imagine, I mean, I've done breath work before. I know you do feel, you can feel pretty good afterwards. Is that it? And then we make a decision from there, or is there something deeper to it?
There's a lot happening with this particular technique. So if you just look at the body's natural way for releasing pent up stress and pain.
Mm-hmm.
So if my body had pent up stress and pain, and you seen like I was like struggling and stressed out, my body would go like this. And eventually it'd build up so much I'd go,
Mm-hmm.
I would do a sigh of relief. Relief is the release. And so what we do in Breathwork Detox is that we mimic that consciously, and we do those sighs in a deep diaphragmatic, continuous pattern. And that allows for a big, breakthrough to happen. Also, something's happening in the brain called transient hypofrontality, which is a fancy word for a flow state. So I would say confusion is like temporary insanity, especially if you're an entrepreneur or just anyone in life. You're confused. Should I stay in this relationship or not? Is this healthy for me? Should I, take this business opportunity? Should I take this risk? Should I stay in this job? Whatever it is, when we're confused, it's like temporary insanity. It creates this inner resistance, and resistance is the cause of suffering, not the external circumstances. It's why Gandhi said, when our thoughts and our words and our actions are in alignment, that's happiness. So when you start doing the breath work, right around the 8 to 10 minute mark, this transient hypofrontality kicks in, and that's when the prefrontal cortex begins to quiet down. Now, that's important because that's the CEO of your brain. That's the part of you that says, this is good, this is bad. You're you, I'm me. It separates everything. And when that begins to quiet down, all of a sudden that monkey mind, that inner critic, that self-saboteur quiets down, and all the answers, you see all the puzzle pieces to all your problems right in front of you. And then just like magnets, it starts connecting the dots. And I think that level of clarity that breathwork induces is so powerful. That's the reason why I do it all the time. So as far as like entrepreneurs, marketing companies, C-level executives,
Mm-hmm.
they're finding so much value in
Mm-hmm.
this, because typically you'd have to go to, Burning Man and drop a hit of acid, or go to
Mm-hmm.
ayahuasca in the
Mm-hmm.
jungles of Iquitos, Peru, to be able to have such profound experiences. But guess what? You can lie on your back and breathe for 20 minutes and get the same, if not even a more profound experience. So, yeah, I'm not sure the question you asked, but there's a lot of,
Oh, I love the
things
answer.
happening.
I love the answer. Okay, so when you say you're doing it all the time, are you doing it all the time? Are you doing it once a day, 5 times a day? Like, what would you say?
Oh, so this technique that I teach, you don't need to do this every day. You can do this bi-weekly and have profound results. You can do it, you could choose to do it weekly. You could do it every day. We do deep sessions every 2 weeks. So I'll lead a virtual event every 2 weeks. We got people from all over, I think 27 different countries not right now that will log on. And then we have something called the Breakfast Club, which aren't deep sessions. It's the same technique, but we only breathe for about 10 minutes a day. So anywhere from 8 to 12.
Mm.
So let's just say 10 minutes. And I have a different facilitator every single day: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So people can kind of tap in, and, they might like my style. They might actually like this other person's style. And we all have our own
Mhm.
flavor. We all bring our own medicine, use different music. So we keep it really engaging and fun to be able to, have breakthroughs while you're going through this experience.
Okay. And it sounds amazing. I'm just thinking for myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I need. But I will tell you, here's what comes up for me, right? I'll just be real with you. I, like I said, I've done breath work before, and I really enjoyed it when I enjoyed the feeling when I was done with it, but I hated breath work when I was doing it during the session. Like, hated it.
Well, I will say it's called breath work for a reason, right? You got to put in a little
Yeah.
work, but the
It was,
payout,
yeah.
payout's worth it, because how you feel afterwards, you're like, oh my God, this is great. You're like, but you know what? Like, Elizabeth, everything's like that. Do you think I
Yeah.
like jumping in a cold plunge every morning?
Do you do a cold plunge every morning?
Every morning. Well, I was
Really?
at least at least 5 days a week. I'm at six, but no less than 5 days a week. I'm in a cold plunge every single morning. First thing that I do.
Okay.
So ask me how many times that I want to do that in the morning. Zero. I don't want
Yeah.
to.
So even you don't want to do it.
Yeah, like, it's like, well, not so much. The cold plunge is a lot harder than the breath work, but even like going like lifting weights, I don't want to actually go and lift heavy weights, right? But I love how I feel afterwards. So when we train hard in the beginning, right, life is easy, right? But if we train
Mm-hmm.
easy, life is hard.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
like
I love that.
you
I
have to
love that.
choose your hard. You either
Yeah.
try to do the easy route now, but your life's going to be
Mm-hmm.
hard, or do the hard stuff now so your life is easy. It's very like, even like money. It comes down to, being broke. I've been broke before. Being broke sucks and is really, really hard. Everything's hard. And also being an entrepreneur since I was 16 years old, being an entrepreneur is very hard. It's hard to build, a business. So if being broke is hard and becoming rich and successful is hard, well, just choose your hard, because
Right.
either way, it's gonna be hard. So why
You're
not?
right. You're right. Relationships are hard. One's going to have one issue and the other's going to have another issue, or one's going to be ridiculously like extreme and the other's going to be so boring you can't even stand it, right? So it's just like it's
Yeah.
hard either way, right?
Choose. That's going to be the name of my podcast. Choose your hard. Right. It's going to be hard no matter what. And as long as you
Yeah.
can understand that, and I think when you do
Yeah.
hard stuff in the beginning, it actually gets a lot easier. So, breath work is like an ATM. You're going to get out of breath work what you put into it. So
That's
if
so
you
good. It's
fully show
so
up,
good.
if you fully
Wow.
show up and you give your all, then you're going to make this a forever thing. And that's why breathwork
Wow.
has never left my life, because I've done the yoga, the meditations, the cold plunge. I've been doing all this stuff. And when I found breathwork, I'm really big into habit stacking. So there's so many things that happen in breathwork. So I have my affirmations, I have my self hypnosis, I have the deep diaphragmatic breathing that's clearing out my all the pent up emotions and accumulated stress. And then I'm also improving my gut motility, and like there's so many things happening, inducing clarity. So because it's one of the only things for me that moved the needle, that I was able to habit stack, I'm like, all right, this is worth my time, because there's just so many
Mhm.
friggin' supplements and modalities. There's just so many things that you can do. You have to find the things that work for you. And unlike yoga and meditation, which I do both of those, by the way, but unlike yoga and meditation, the results of breathwork detox are immediate and undeniable from one session. And I think that's important for other people, because we do live in a microwave society, and people
Mhm.
want to see results and they want to see them fast. And
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's just not how it works with like anything, pretty much. You don't go
Yeah.
to the gym and then walk out with a six pack, or open an LLC and then you have $1 million in your account. It doesn't work like that. But for breath work, it's like you can do one session, you're like, oh, this works. I feel this way. I got this clarity. So I think that's what's making it grow so
Mhm.
fast, because there's this breathwork boom that's happening right now. So I'm just happy to be on the forefront of it.
Mhm. Well, so tell us, what would be an example day for you? Because now I'm fascinated with this whole habit stacking and the way that you live your life and all that. And you mentioned a few things that you do. So I guess you could either say, what's your daily routine, or you can answer it as, what did you just happen to do yesterday or the day before or something?
So my daily routine today, first thing is I make my bed. That's number one, right? That's the first win, is to make my bed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Actually, I'm sorry. Before I make my bed, I do have a dream journal. So the moment I open my eyes, I actually write the crazy, if it's a crazy dream, I write them in there. The reason why I started doing that is because what it actually does. So everything that I do, there's always a why. And I literally have a piece of paper. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do in the morning. But why? Why am I doing this? So when you write down your dreams, it actually excuse me, it helps strengthen the connection, the bridge between the subconscious mind and the conscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
So it allows you to pull things from the subconscious a lot easier when you kind of develop that connection every single morning. So I'll write down my dreams. Okay, then I make my bed. And then I go into my little workout area and it's like I got it from my chiropractor. It puts curvature back in your neck, because I started having mid back issues. And then when I went to him, he goes, that's coming from your neck. It's not coming from your back. And then he's like, it's your head's falling forward because you're on your phone texting all the time. So I was like, oh man. So I'm like, really? He's like, let me see your screen time. I showed him my screen time. I was like, oh, well, yeah, that's definitely the problem. so,
Mm-hmm.
so when I put this curvature back in my neck, I do my breath work. So that's 15 minutes breath work every single morning that I'll do. And then from there, I'll get up, I'll go right into the cold plunge. As soon as I go in the cold plunge, my body's shot in shock. So it's a stressor. So I'll immediately go into box breathing to try to prove to my body and nervous system that even under crazy conditions and stress and my breathing out, I can put myself into a calm state. So I'll do box breathing for 3 minutes. So I'm in the cold plunge for 3 minutes, box breathing 3 minutes, get out of there, and I immediately go to the gym. And they did some Japanese studies where if you did cold plunge before the gym, your testosterone spikes like 300%, as opposed to working out then going in cold plunge. It doesn't. It actually was stunting your muscle growth. So I'll go from the cold plunge right to the gym, work out the gym, come back. I'll do my meditation, and then boom, I'm off to grinding for the rest of the day.
And how long does this process take you that you just described?
I mean, it probably takes no more than 2 hours.
Okay, so two hours from like waking up to finish all. That's a lot. That's a lot in 2 hours. Do you ever feel like you get tired of doing a routine, or are you just a routine person?
Well, if I get tired of doing routine, it's not a routine because the whole point of doing the routine is that you just do it. So it's like, do we get tired of walking out of the house and putting pants on? Right? We all put on pants and shoes before we walk out the house. But
Hmm.
that's because we just developed this routine to do so.
Hmm.
So I
So
try
you're
to.
saying it's just part of your normal. You don't see it as this is my routine. You see it as part of just your normal day, like making coffee or feeding the animals or something like that, brushing your teeth.
Yeah, it's definitely a routine because I've went times usually when I travel is when I do my boo boos, and
Hmm.
I kind of throw myself out. And then I
Hmm.
come home, and then it's like, and then I got to fight to get back into it. And the longer I wait, the worse it is. I got to immediately get back into it. So that's what makes me keep it. No, it's a routine, and you got to stay disciplined because I've gotten off track a few times, and it's like so much energy to get back into it. It's better just to not break it at all. I've learned that over the years for sure.
Mm. And what tells you that this routine is working?
So one, the cold plunge is instant gratification. 10 times out of 10, I don't want to jump in and I come out. And 10 times out of 10, I am a different person. From one moment to the next, I'm like, wow, like, it's such a good feeling. Like you can't deny coming out of a cold plunge and how you feel. And it's like, and just like, I think the dopamine, they did studies like
Mm.
it's the same as cocaine, except it lasts 3 times longer of like the dopamine that you get. So
Mhm.
science is showing of what it's doing for just the mental health. And for my body, it also helps me burn fat because, when you go in the cold plunge, when you get out, your body is now it has to boost its metabolism and it's burning all these calories to kind of get your body temperature back up. So the whole day you're just burning calories. So I've been in the best shape of my life by implementing the cold plunge. And meditation is something that I just do because I feel like I have a lot of crazy thoughts all the time and I'm like, okay, breathwork doesn't necessarily help with the thoughts. It actually gives me more thoughts of more, like I have all these ideas now from like breathwork and I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
let me try to ground myself. So I do that and I feel the benefits from that. But I think everything that I do, of course working out, that's
Yeah.
great benefits in that. I try not to do anything where I just know it's not working. And I do other things too that I'll experiment. Like I just started standing on my head recently. I got, kind of upside down inversion. I've read all the great studies that you should do it for at least 2 minutes. But that's what I read. I can't sit here and be like, I've done this for 6 months and this is what I feel. But I'm constantly trying new things because I don't think I'll ever stop. That's how I found breathwork.
Mm. Yeah. 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 I mean, I guess I go back and forth. Well, this is myself. I go back and forth with things that I like practices that I do. And then it's kind of like it falls in parallel with things that are going on in my life as well. Or maybe the things are going on in my life and the practice is coming in to match it.
Mm.
Um, like I go to the gym. And so I go to the gym on a regular basis. And it is true what you said. Like I don't really think of going to the gym as, to me, it's not a routine. It's just something that I do. It's just like I come to this interview or whatever. It just becomes part of who I am. And I guess for me, I'm not willing to even waste my time, if you will, thinking, does it benefit me going to the gym or does it not benefit me going to the gym? I do feel like I'm expanding and my life works.
Yeah.
And is it that or is it not that, I do get into certain states of being where I do meditate, once or twice a day. And that's kind of why I'm asking you about routines too, because I am a less structured human. Like I know a lot of people they love routines. I'm kind of like the opposite. And part of me is like, well, I think it's just my mind, just like being stubborn. And the other part of me is like, I just do things so much in real time, and I'm just constantly like a bouncing ball, just like going place to place. And it seems to support so much of the work that I do and the life, and I am happy that I'm almost like I want to learn from you or someone like you, what's the benefit of a routine or something thereof? Because like I sort of want to convince myself into it more so than I
Yeah.
am, you
So
know?
the only benefit of having a routine is if you're going to stick with it, right? And it's got to be simple enough where that you can do it. Because what happens is becomes counterproductive when you set a routine and then you start missing it, and then you start do it some days and you start missing it and whatnot, and then you start to feel bad about yourself because
Mm-hmm.
you're not doing your routine. And if you
Mm-hmm.
start getting into that habit, it's pointless. It's just don't do a routine at all, because beating ourselves up is far more damaging than
Mm-hmm.
having a routine or not having a routine. So, and they talk about this in the book Atomic Habits, which is a
Mm-hmm.
really good book. If you're thinking about creating any routine, that's the absolute best book that I think you could get is Atomic Habits. And I was going to say something else. I can't remember. What?
Well,
Come back to me.
and like with money, so I have money practices, and I have a lot of money practices that I have, in the program, and I do those because those are just kind of like they're just a part of who I am. It doesn't even feel like I'm really doing anything with it. I think it's when something feels, and this is probably what it is, right? It feels outside of me. Doing something like breath work on a daily basis, let's say for like 6 months or whatever. Um, it's like I'm grasping for it, but it's like my old identity that's trying to decide if I would want to do that. And my old identity says no, because my old identity is attached to the experience that I had with it, which is I don't like this and I don't like routines and da 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 da, right? So really what I'm doing, if we're talking about receiving, you're saying breath work helps you receive. Well, I'm already blocking my receiving by my identity before I even get to the good stuff. And I'm just observing how uh, this is just an ongoing pattern that we just do over and over with anything kind of new. And it really, for me, it gives me a lot of empathy for
Hmm.
human beings who are trying to do different things, whether it's show up for a social cause that they've never done before, or whether it's have a conversation with a parent they never had, or do something different with money. It's like it's outside of us and we can't get to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that comes from, just kind of falling into a trap like we all do is focusing on the process and not the results.
Hmm.
Right? So the process of breath work, right, is breath. It's
Hmm.
you got to work for it, right? But the results, it's like you felt amazing afterwards, right? Same thing with
Hmm.
cold plunge. Like that sucks. That's the process. But if I
Hmm.
focus on just that feeling and not the results, then I probably wouldn't want to do it even more. So the process of writing a book sucks, right? But the
Hmm.
accolades you get afterwards and the podcast you get to go on is like
Yeah.
the process is always going to suck, and that's okay. And usually the process sucks when you're doing something worth doing, and I think,
Yeah, no, you're right. And thank you for that. That's a good point. I mean, I used to do cold plunges every day myself. And as a matter of fact, I started to crave them, you know, and it was really great. And then just one day, poof, they just went away. I don't look back and say that my life was altered because I didn't do cold plunges, though. I
yeah.
still have done really well and been happy in life.
Yep.
So then I go back to, okay, well, it's probably like I need to challenge myself to do something like breath work because it is something that I have resistance to. And clearly you have taught us, and I know you know what you're talking about. You're one of the leaders in this. I mean, you're huge in this and you've helped so many people at so many levels with this. So it's more for the challenge to myself, and maybe that's just even the way to look at it, because who doesn't want to be more connected in their body? I know I have my own practices that I do with that, and you talk about feeling power on the other side of it. When you have an emotional stuckness, we'll go back to that word we started with, and it's like in your diaphragm, and it's just like you feel so entangled in the world. I have practices where I can let that go. But what if there was something new? What if there was something new like this that could potentially even work better than what I do?
Mm, I love it. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
being open-minded, and keeping in mind everyone's different, of what works for them, what they like to do. I just discovered that breathwork seems to be the most universal because there's no barriers to entry like there is yoga
Hmm.
and meditation. You can have ADHD and have a profound
Hmm.
breathwork experience. You can, there's no barriers to entry as like yoga. Some people don't want to put on a leotard and go bend in funny ways in front of people in a yoga class, or 54% of the world's population can't bend down and touch their toes. Like, you can be inflexible, you can be, overweight, underweight. All you gotta do
Hmm.
is lie down on your back and breathe and you'll have an experience. So I just love how tangible and just accessible it is for everybody. And it's so simple, but yet the results are so profound. And
Yeah.
that's what's like
Yeah.
hard for people to wrap their head around. Like, how is this from just this?
Yeah.
You're breathing through all your resistance. So that feeling that you have in the beginning is like, oh, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this. That is actually the same resistance that shows up in all areas of our life. Should I send that email? I don't want to send that email. Should I take out the trash now? I'll do it
Mhm.
tomorrow. I should have said I'm sorry, but you didn't say I'm sorry. You should have said I love you, but you didn't say I love you. That resistance is what lives inside of us, and the breath work brings it to the forefront, and you start feeling it, and then you start releasing it. So the whole
Mhm.
reason I do breathwork cold plunge is because I feel so much resistance in the beginning, but the more I face my resistance and breathe through it and push through it, the less resistance I have in my life. And I think that's the
Wow.
most powerful part, because everything's connected to everything else. Nothing is
Hmm.
separate.
Hmm. Wow. I love it. Well, thank you for enlightening us with something brand new. Well, it's new to me. I'm sure it's probably not new to a lot of people who are listening to this, but you may be new to them. Um, it's something that I mean, we draw these things into our life, and I have, it's sort of been like out here as like this little light that I'm like, ooh, I'll investigate that someday, kind of thing. And now here you are. So now I'm like, okay, well, drink the Kool-Aid, Elizabeth, drink the Kool-Aid.
I love that.
How would we find you, and what does it even look like if we were to come in and work with you?
So for me personally, there's three areas where I put my energy in breath work. One that's accessible to everyone is that I do virtual events every 2 weeks. So you can log in from your home and experience the breathwork detox modality. Every 2 weeks we do that. And then also majority of my time goes to training and certifying teachers to go out there and teach my modality and do exactly what I do. And then other is corporate, working with
Mhm.
executives and companies that experiencing burnout, chronic fatigue. We've worked with Nike, I've worked with NASA, the Capital Group. So that's where my energy goes. They can go to breathworkdetox.com. So just one word, type in breathworkdetox.com, and then that program suite will pop up, and they can do the teacher training consultation. They can do a virtual event. Um, and then if they want to get directly in contact with me, I'm pretty good on Instagram. So if they just add me at Man from the Stars, one word,
Mhm.
Man from the Stars, I'm pretty good with, responding
Mm.
back to people if they have questions.
Okay, great. Well, I am definitely going to look this up, and I'm now excited about it. So, I've gone from oh my gosh, to being excited about it. And I kind of had a feeling that you would have that influence. I know when I met you in person, I was like, oh God, he's a powerful person, and I don't know. Really, really had a great time with all of us that night, and
Yeah.
I don't know. Hopefully we'll do it again. Hopefully Nashville will call us back again.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. And we will talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you for having me.